Personally, I think the Aros would make a great band name. Better get to copywriting.
Hey, that is my shtick.
So throwback, one of the very first videos I did was on the ace spectrum, and I briefly mentioned Aromanticism, but I didn't do the whole shebang on it. Again, let's establish that while I have personal experience with the ace spectrum, I don't with the Aro spectrum. I just have perspectives gathered within the community. That being said, let's get educated. What is Aromanticism?
I would imagine it means someone who doesn't have romantic feelings for others?
A person who is aromantic or a part of the Aro spectrum is someone who experiences a lack of romantic attraction.
Oh, good. Oh, I got it right. That was a close one.
Romantic interactions include actions that, while not explicitly sexual in nature, aren't exactly platonic either. I.e. cuddling, hand-holding, specific physical connections people think of as romantic. Monogamous relationships are sometimes considered a romantic interaction, but this varies person to person.
Ha! Well, she's got that right. That's hilarious.
A person who is demi-romantic is someone who experiences romantic attraction on a secondary basis. In order to feel a romantic attraction, they need a strong platonic, emotional, or sexual connection to a person first.
Also known as a wife.
A person who is gray romantic is someone who can experience romantic attraction, but it depends on a multitude of factors.
Also known as most people on the planet.
So what are some other important terms to know? Squish. A squish is a platonic crush with a possible desire for platonic intimacy. Queer platonic partners. A queer platonic relationship is a relationship between two people that is so emotionally strong it transcends friendship, but it still isn't necessarily romantic in nature. Alright, now there are still several specific aromantic identities I haven't mentioned here for time's sake, and because I'm giving your brain some time to process the entire idea of aromanticism, let alone an entire spectrum filled with various identities. If you'd like to know more about this spectrum, you can go watch this video. No comments about fuck labels, because honestly, who is that helping or educating? Yeah, no one.
Actually, it helps everyone. It helps everyone, and it educates everyone that everyone is more than just a label.
Okay, glad we cleared that up. Misconceptions. Being anything but heteromantic, heterosexual opens the door to a lot of misconceptions, doesn't it? Let's take a look. False. All aromantics are also asexual. The truth. Some aromantic people are ace or belong to the ace spectrum. Some aromantic people identify as heterosexual. Some identify as another identity under the queer umbrella. Either way, your romantic orientation is not always directly related to your sexual orientation. So it's best not to make assumptions.
Isn't the whole point of labeling to make a bunch of other assumptions about someone based on the label?
False. All aromantics are soulless harlots in it for the sex and not the love. Truth. I love sex shaming.
And I love sluts. What's your point?
And by love it, I mean I wanted to die a slow, fiery hell pit death.
Well, that's probably a little inappropriate in my case. I mean, look how happy they are.
No matter if someone is or isn't having sex, it's none of your business and says nothing about their worth as a person. Also, there's this misconception that the best sex is sex between people who are in love.
Actually, they did research on this, and the best sex is sex that is not in a romantic relationship. In fact, the best sex is like anonymous relationship, or anonymous sex with a person who you know you're probably never going to see again, or it's like a week-long fling. And from my personal experience and from the research, this is borne out, or this bears out.
I mean, I assume it's nice to have sex with someone you're in love with romantically, but let's tackle this idea for a second. First of all, an aro person could love the person they're having sex with, just not in a romantic sense. Platonic love is just as valuable as romantic love. Sorry that Nicholas Sparks led you to believe otherwise. Second, even if this aro person doesn't love the person they're having sex with in any way, shape, or form, they're still allowed to have sex with them as long as it's consensual, protected, and legal.
I like how she puts conditions on the slutty behavior that pretty much prohibit prostitution. So a woman who has no romantic feelings for a guy or no feelings at all, can have sex with whoever she wants for whatever reason, as long as it's protected, which no one likes protected sex, and as long as it's legal. Oh, so she's pretty much addressing prostitutes. Funny, great. Slut pride.
Third, there are some aro people who don't have sex, believe it or not. Yeah, sorry you had to find out this way? False. Aromantics just haven't met the one. One day they'll settle down. What about marriage? Truth. Shh. Look, I'll be the first to admit that deep down I am the sappiest romantic to ever walk the earth. But the idea that you need another person to complete you isn't healthy. You are your own person. Even if you believe in soulmates, platonic or romantic, this other person shouldn't be one half to your whole together. You are 2 or 3 or 4 or however many wholes working together to create a better life for each other. Your wholes supporting each other. Your wholes that, let's be real, you could live without each other, but you choose not to because in this moment, you're better people for it. Your happiness, while understandable that sometimes it may rely on another person.
Dear Diary, jackpot.
Long term relies on your character and your drive. Romantic love can be a wonderful part of life, but it's not a necessity. Some aro people do get married. There isn't an orientation requirement for marriage, unlike what some lawmakers have to say. Some aro people don't get married, just like some allo people don't get married. Some aro people become queer platonic life partners with someone. But why spend so much time concerned over someone's undetermined future when you can enjoy your time and company with them now? Not everyone thinks there's the one. Not everyone wants the one. Not everyone gets the one. And sometimes a person's the one is a good friend, or a partner, or themselves. As the ancient saying goes, mind your own. So, what about representation? So when I did my ACE video, I didn't have a lot of examples for ACE representation, and for this aro vid, I don't have any. Trust me, I've looked. And yes, I'm sure out of the millions of media products out there has to be at least one aromantic character, but I'm not all-knowing. So, if you know of any aro characters in canon, let me know. We still need to discuss representation, though. Just because there are 0.0001 aro characters in the media doesn't mean that the aro community should be forced to accept any and all aro characters they're given, especially if they're misrepresented. In the aro poll I made for this video, I asked people what kind of aro representation they'd like to see. Their answers were pretty standard requests. They want characters who are capable of expressing platonic and familial love and who are capable of strong relationships with people. They want aro characters of color. They want characters that intersect with other identities and backgrounds, such as aromantic characters with disabilities, aromantic people that aren't heterosexual, aromantic people that are also asexual, aromantic people with mental illnesses, aromantic people of various genders or with no gender, etc. When it comes to representing aromantic people, it's important to remember that there are 2 parts to that phrase. There's the aromantic part, which is the qualifier for the character counting as aro representation. Then there's the people part. Unsurprisingly, aro people are people too. They get angry and sad and happy and joyful and experience pain and love, even if it's not romantic. Some of them have sex, some of them don't. Some of them get married, some of them don't. Some of them have kids, some of them don't. Just because someone's orientation is different than yours doesn't give you the right to make assumptions about every other aspect of their life.
But isn't that the point of labeling things? As in, if I label something a cat, I can expect it to meow. Yes, it may have had its vocal cords crushed and can't meow, but I would expect it to because it's a cat. And remember, I'm not a huge fan of labels. I just can't believe you're twisting. You social justice warriors constantly twist even your own reasoning. You're insane.
Remember, while an aro person's romantic orientation is important and to be respected, it's still just one part of their life.
They just sound to me like people who, for whatever neurological reason, can't feel or don't understand what society calls love. English is not a perfect language. Or call romance. Yes, if they engage in sex and they enjoy it, yes, it would be like a woman having a vibrator, using a vibrator to masturbate. Yes, she doesn't love her vibrator, but she gets pleasure from it. And then, ironically, this is what feminists accuse men of doing when they treat women like sex objects, quote-unquote. So, who's the dick now?
So, it's questions time. So, do any of you find yourselves on the aro spectrum?
Well, with the aro spectrum being so absurdly broad, almost anyone can fit under any one of its numerous definitions. I mean, for the love of God, it just sounds like maybe there's an emotional disconnect, which would be totally understandable in this modern day world in which people are treated like objects and crap, and everyone's a freaking narcissist and doesn't really give a crap about anyone else. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
Do any of you have aro character headcanons?
Now, I actually had to look this up. Headcanon. It's just having an imagination. It's just anyone making up anything that's not contradicted in by the author or creators or writers of whatever media they're watching. This is stupid. It's stupid. I mean, headcanon, it's just called an imagination. What? Head partners. These social justice warriors are just head cases, in my opinion.
What would you like to see in terms of aro representation? Ask/comment away because I'm dying to know what y'all think. As always, thank you for watching. I'm the Filminist, and I'll see you next week.